Julian Edelman, 12 years in the league, Super Bowl MVP, 3 rings. So I had Brady on this week.
Yeah.
And, Brady hasn't done as much as you. So you and I talk. You're very natural. You're sitting back there. It's cash. Tom's still not quite totally comfortable. So I brought him on. The first thing I said is, I can't believe Edelman. Slot receiver, tough guy. I'm like, he'll be okay. And I said, I can't believe how good Jules is on the air. And here's Tommy.
He's such an honest, authentic guy, and I think what you saw on the playing field is exactly the way that he approached his after football career too. So nothing Julian does surprises me. He's an incredibly hard worker. He's very endearing to a lot of people, and I think what you see with him is what we always saw behind the scenes in the locker room. Getting ready for his prep on the field. And you could see why we always had a great relationship, because he's just such an authentic guy. And I love what he's done in his post-football career.
Now, it's been easier for you a little bit because of expectations, right? Now, Tom's going to be front and center. How do you think he'll be as a broadcaster?
I think he's going to be very prepared. Tom's the type of guy where if he's going to put his foot or he's going to do anything, he's going to bring everything he has and put it into that specific thing. I've talked to him last few weeks, and, I mean, this guy's really taking this serious. He understands what the network's giving him. He understands what the people are saying. And that's the kind of stuff that fuels that guy.
Right.
So this is just making his whole situation jumping into football as an underdog, even though he'll be like a very well-paid guy, extremely paid guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's still going to create something in his head to make himself go out and perform his best. And he said it on the show. I think he said it here, where he's not going to be the same guy on week 1 that he is in week 17, because he's going to continually work. He's just not going to put a finished product out there. Tom's the type of guy that's continually trying to refine his routine, refine his game, and make it as efficient and as best as possible. I think he's going to bring that to the booth.
Yeah. So it's also, they always say that catchers make good managers in baseball and good broadcasters because they see the game.
Mm-hmm.
Second baseman, you got your back to stuff. It is interesting if you and Tom saw the game the same. You're in the middle of that stew, that secondary. Tom's watching it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of interested. Did you and him ever talk about what he saw was different than what you saw?
What I saw is what he saw, but what I saw was only 1/3 of what he was looking at. Okay, so I was looking at coverage. Right. I was looking at defenders, and so was he. But he was also communicating a play call, communicating a personnel group, going in and dictating the line on what they have to do. He's looking at the defensive group as a whole. I'm looking at a couple things, and I used to steal things in the offensive meetings where if you saw the bare front, you knew you were going to get a man coverage. Like, I would do little stuff like that, but not on the same level what Tom Brady was doing. He saw everything, and I tried to be on his page. That's the kind of guy he was. And so when he gets into this booth, we were all raving about how Tony Romo saw the field. Yeah. Tony Romo was a heck of a football player.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
In Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I want to know what Tom Brady sees pre-snap, what matchups he's looking at pre-snap, because whatever he says, I mean, guy played 23 years in the National Football League, won 7 Super Bowls, played in 1 million of them. And what he sees, no one else sees. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be great TV regardless.
Okay, so there's 2 weeks pre-Super Bowl. This is install week mostly.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go to Vegas, you see some friends. So do the Chiefs and Niners install all of it? Or, like, somebody once told me that coaches leave a little to be installed so players don't get bored.
Yeah.
What do you do in this first week?
So what we would do is we would get healthy. We would kind of take a couple days to self-reflect, self-scout, finish up the last week, finish up the AFC Championship, get all those things tied down, and then we'd have a couple days to get healthy, kind of get away, get your families ready for all the tickets you have to distribute, all the hotels you have to distribute. You want to get all that stuff done right now in these first 3-4 days. Then back into the week before you take off for Vegas, you got some competitive practices. We used to have blue and white scrimmage. This was like a self-scout. Let's get some high effort. It's a hybrid practice where you have installation, but we're also working on things we need to work on as a team that we saw over the last 3 weeks that'll make us a better version of ourselves. So we used to have a really competitive couple practices with a little bit of install. Yes, you had keys to the day. You'd have keys to like first and second down on a Thursday. Friday, you're going on third down, and Saturday, you're working on the red area with some room to give for when you get to Vegas. Because once you get to Vegas, you want things to be fast. You want guys to be thinking clearly. You want guys like, I remember when we get to Vegas, we already went over a few times with walkthroughs and our competitive practices the week before, where we get to the Thursday practice before the Super Bowl, and it's third down practice, and I know the script because we've practiced it so much. 3rd and 4. All right, look, we got FZ option that, this play. It just becomes second nature. It becomes instinct. And that's kind of where they're at right now. At least where we were at, we would have the competitive practice going into where the travel week. Once you get there, get everything settled in the early part of this week, you leave, go to Vegas, and then everything's got to be fast. Let's get back into our routine. Let's get our minds right. Let's get our recovery. Let's refine our routine, try to make it as normal as possible.
Okay, so you were part of the longest dynasty in league history. Kansas City it's a mini dynasty, but it's become one. I think getting to another Super Bowl now. It's a dynasty. Tell me the challenges. Okay, so a lot of guys got the bag. You got the legacy. There's not the pressure to win one. It changes to you are. Let me all just ask you, how does pressure change once y'all made money? Y'all got rings, multiple. You all have legacies. You're set for kind of life. Nothing really to prove. The second phase of the dynasty, which you're a rare player that had one. It's your second phase. How does it change?
It changes because there's an expectation. There's a standard now that you've set with the success that you had in the previous years. And it ultimately comes down to the core group of guys on that team of players and coaches. Core group being, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Andy Reid, and Spags. Those are the guys that are the common denominators that have been around for everything. They're going to go out and they're going to show the newer guys, the guys that may not have been in the situation, this is how it's done. You guys got to jump on, because if you don't, the train moves on. We find other guys. That's just how it goes. So it ultimately comes down to your best players, the guys you can lean on. They're the ones that have to motivate. I had Tom Brady. This guy, when I first got there, had 3 Super Bowls, played in 5, almost had the 18-1. I mean, he was God when I first got there as a rookie, and this guy was working like he was an undrafted free agent still, communicating with guys, talking, still at the off-season program. Like, he was married to a supermodel. This is what your leader was doing, so everyone else had to fall in place, and that's why I see a lot of similarities with Kansas City. I mean, their best, highest paid player is their hardest working guy, their best leader on their team, Patrick Mahomes. You have your core guys, the Travis Kelce's, the Chris Jones on defense, that keep their guys in check, and when it's a gotta-have-it play, those guys make their gotta-have-it plays. And those are kind of the similarities that I see with Kansas City and our teams. It gets harder and harder each year. Players and coaches leave each year, but there's always a core group of guys that keep it together.
So Jim Harbaugh goes 9 years of college, comes back to the pros. Now, it is an advantage. His brother's involved. So I've kind of surmised over the years that Jim helps John in the draft. He'll say, can't play, can. John's helped Jim on staffing. Like, give me a guy who can work. So now they're in the same conference. It won't work that way. But and I do think Jim will have an advantage first 3 to 4 years because of the draft. He knows all these guys. He recruited them. 9 years is a long time to be out of the league, even if your brother's a coach. Joe Gibbs was gone, and one of the great coaches, and kind of first year, if I recall, wasn't great. What do you mean? Do you guaranteed success? Chargers, Harbaugh, guaranteed?
I think it's an expected success. Because John Harbaugh, in every form or fashion, anywhere he's been, he's had success. Jim.
Yeah.
And, it shouldn't change when he goes into an opportunity that he's about to jump into. I mean, you got Justin Herbert, you got some guys on defense.
Left tackle, edge rusher.
You got guys. They're just missing a toughness and a culture. And from what we've seen through track record, that's what Jim does. I'm excited to watch this opportunity. I'm excited to see the Chargers have some excitement around them. I'm excited that, they took a chance to go out and get a John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh. I met with Jim Harbaugh, by the way, once during free agency.
What was it like? He's a different cat.
He is a different cat.
What do you know?
As soon as I walk in, and this is when there was all that drama between San Francisco, the GM and Harbaugh.
Baalke and Harbaugh.
This was in like 2013. As soon as I walk in, he throws in a dip. I throw in a dip with him, and we're sitting chewing, and we're just talking. Nothing about really football. And out of nowhere, he goes, "What do you want?" And this is like, the talks have been like Harbaugh and the GM aren't getting along because Harbaugh is talking. And he goes, "What do you want?" I got, "Coach, I want 12/2. He goes, I think we get that done. And then we didn't talk about anything else, and we just sat and talked football stories. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. He's got kind of that ADD in the office where he always has to move.
Yeah.
He's got a little quirkiness to him, but for a fact he loves football. And, to bring it back to the Chargers, I think that's what Justin Herbert needs. He needs a coach that has had success at every level, that knows how to win. Not some gimmick thing, not this, not like, we're going to revolutionize the game.
Herbert's not a gimmicky guy.
He's not. So I'm really excited for this opportunity for Herbert and Harbaugh, because regardless, the league's more fun when this guy's in it.
No question.
I mean, he's just a fun guy. There's always a little something with him. There's a story. There's some kind of this or that. And that's what we want. This is entertainment.
Okay, so earlier today, we got into this discussion. Patrick Mahomes, there's a picture of him, and everybody said he had a dad bod. And there's a picture of Josh Allen with a little bit of a gut on the beach. And my argument is, I want my slot corner, I want my slot receiver, my edge rusher. I like that Bosa's got no body fat. They're banging on Mahomes for his body. Okay, you're a ripped guy. My take is, I want a little pudding. I don't have a problem with that. I want fluidity, pliability. What do you make of Mahomes' body?
I think he's living. He's living, baby. Yeah. You always had, Tommy didn't have like the greatest bod. These guys, they're not supposed to be kings of the weight room. This guy if you watch his off-season program, you watch him and you see what he does for his flexibility. And I've seen him doing these crazy positions, these like figure fours behind where he's stretching out his back. Like, that's what he needs, is that whole pliability thing. And when you're too ripped in the weight room or as a quarterback, it's kind of a red flag to me. I rather have you.
Thank you.
I rather have you, the guy that is eating a couple Oreos, watching game film. So
seriously,
you know what I mean? Like, go get a chicken wing. Let's break down this defense.
Right.
I don't need you to run too much. You just need to run around in the pocket so you can deliver me the ball.
Okay, here's a Josh Allen picture. So in J-Max, it doesn't bother me.
He can move it, though. That guy, he can move it. These guys, they're not like, what people don't realize, quarterbacks during the regular season and during the football season, like, they don't run a lot. They're just doing drops. They're doing blitz pickup drills. They're doing handoffs. Like, he's not getting his conditioning in like a receiver who's running 50 routes of practice, or a special teams guy that has to be on every scout team. These guys are burning calories.
Okay, so some guys are ripped. But it is funny. Well, the first time I met Teddy Bruschi, he was post-career.
Yeah.
And he obviously, you guys all shed some weight. Most of the big guys do. Teddy had a briefcase. I'm thinking, I met him. I'm thinking, that's the guy that terrorized the Pac-12. That's the guy. And I had talked to somebody who had dealt with Bruschi for the years, and they're like, dude, hands, intelligence, instinctive, toughness. leverage. Or like, you didn't want to line up next to Teddy, but Teddy didn't knock you. Give me a Patriot that you would ever line up against that you thought initially, nothing there.
A bad bod guy that could hit.
Donald Penn, the old offensive lineman, they used to say best player in the league with a bad bod.
I would say, you remember Brandon Spikes?
Yes.
Brandon Spikes had the worst body. And this dude didn't work out, didn't do anything. But I've seen him lift 330-pound guards and put them in the backfield, like with a 2-yard sprint. Some guys are just explosive.
Florida guy,
Florida. Explosive, crazy athletes. Merriweather. Remember old Merriweather? The safety?
Yes.
He had bad bod. We used to have to give it to him.
But he was another guy that could light you up.
But he would light you up. There, the muscle thing, it's not. There's always a hidden guy that, there's just these leverage strength type guys.
Yeah, Brewski.
But he was
pretty ripped.
He was ripped, but he was also like a ball of energy. He was what, 6'1", and he was probably 250. So like he was kind of built
right
for that power.
And then there are guys in this league that are all hotel lobby. They look great in shorts, and they can't play a lick.
Shorts and T-shirt guys. Those are the guys that are, spring camp All-Americans. You have that. So that's what people don't realize. You'd have, whole offseason, you go into OTAs, and you have these guys that come in, and they look so fast, and they've had so much improvement over the offseason. And then, once you put the pads on, that's just the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Belichick didn't get one of the 8 jobs. Can you see him for a year doing nothing in football? Fishing.
I can't see him fishing. I could see him watching football and keeping his mind going on it. I don't think he's done.
He's too academic. He's too smart.
Yeah, and he loves the game. He's probably going to have some kind of routine where even if it's not as stressful as what it is when he's coaching, he's still going to have some kind of outlet to where he's probably breaking down guys for the next year, just because if he gets a job, he's going to want to be prepared, and that guy's never not prepared.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm not going to get into where you're going, but I wish you the very best of luck in your weekend.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.